Morning, friends. You know, God's plan for healthy thinking is very simple. One component is the dietary component. You know, back in the olden days, I didn't know anything about that. I'm still learning. I don't know it all now. But I do know this. If you really want to be healthy, you go out to the garden, you eat the food the way God made it. You can take the food, you know, the bell peppers, the tomatoes, the sweet potatoes, the corn. You can boil it, you can bake it, you can steam it, you can eat it raw. But you never want to fry it. You don't want to process and refine. My definition of process and refine is when you add something to it or take something away. Like a potato. A potato is a very healthy food. But when you fry it and add a lot of salt and get potato chips, that's not healthy. You don't have a potato chip tree growing in the garden. So very, very simple. You know, the whole food plant-based diet, unprocessed, unrefined. And it's good to eat all the colors, all the kinds, all the phytochemicals, right? You know, the yellows and the oranges and the blues and the purples, all colors, all kinds. That's God's plan. Very short, very simple. But back when Darlene and I lived in Atlanta, we didn't know the plan. So when we met, Darlene she was experimenting with a vegetarian diet. My wife was very into new ideas, and I guess she was doing fine until she met me. And so we would go out to Manuel's Tavern, eat steak burgers, eat big old steak fries, and drink beer. Take her to the International House of Pancakes, a pancake house, and get pancakes and hash browns and eggs and different things. And I ruined my wife's aspirations for a healthier dietary plan. So that's where we're at in Atlanta. And then we moved out to Mentone, moved out to the country. And though we left the bar behind, we were still drinking. I was started growing pot in the garden and weren't really the healthiest people. Now, God helped us. You know, I shared in a previous little part of my testimony how God had gotten me into the garden, a natural environment. Now this is one of my favorite flowers. This is the bull thistle. And it is just a beautiful flower. It tells you that summer is past and winter is just ahead. It's just a reminder of all the blessings the Lord's given to us this year in the garden. The healthiest plan is to eat the food from the garden the way God made it. But you know, friends, I didn't know that back then. When Darlene and I moved out to the country, there were a whole lot of things I didn't know. But the Lord is a patient teacher, and He wanted to help us. He helped put my hands to work, you know. The working hands help the mind to think right. The natural environment, the input, 2 Corinthians 3:18, and beholding you're changed. So I was looking at the natural things, hearing the birds, and seeing the beautiful trees. And it was reshaping the way I was thinking. Well, you know, a natural environment and good useful labor, that's good. But the dietary component is a very important part. And exercise too. I mean, there are many aspects of health, but these are some of the main ones, the most important. So for the dietary thing, when we got up there, you know, after a while, Darlene and I had an idea. And we thought we need to be more healthy in the chicken we eat. So we decided we would order a box of Rhode Island red chicks, and we did. So they were shipped, we went and picked them up, Rhode Island reds, little chicks. And of course one of our Great Danes killed a few of them, but we still had quite a few, and started to raise the chickens. And I got a book. It says how to raise chickens. You know, I didn't know anything about that. And so I was following the directions in the book. Basically, it said wait 6 months. At the end of 6 months, you build yourself a chicken coop. You confine the chickens. You get a block of wood and a hatchet, and then you take one chicken, and it told what you do. You cut its head off and how to clean the chicken, prepare it, how to freeze it if you're going to store it for later consumption. All these different aspects of animal husbandry. In this case, chickens. Now, what the book did not tell me is that when I got the first chicken, put its head down on the block, and I cut its head off, the book didn't mention anything about the other 15 chickens getting very, very quiet. It's like you could hear a pin drop. And of course, then Darlene went and got the second one. She was like the messenger of gloom and doom to the chickens. She would go get the second one out of the cage, brought it over. I cut the head off. She went and got the third. I did the same. We did that for the first 14 chickens. She brought number 15 over, and I said, Darlene, I handed her the hatchet. I said, I can't kill another one. This whole thing's making me sick. And she said, don't hand it to me. I'm not going to kill them. And then I told her, it wasn't any kind of forethought. I just said, look, I can't kill the chickens. I'm not going to eat them. If I can't kill them, it doesn't seem right to eat them. And that's the day we were vegetarians. And from that time until now, we maybe once or twice there was some occasion that seemed appropriate, that we needed to eat a little bit of meat not to cause a problem. But from that day till now, we've been vegetarians. Now, I'm not saying we were really healthy, because although we got off, the steaks and the hamburgers and all these other things on a vegetarian diet, we were still eating a block of lappy cheese every week. Once a week, a big old block of white lappy cheese. It was really good. And Darlene had built beehives. We had honey. So I was probably getting a quart of honey a week and a big block of lappy cheese. One of our favorite meals was brown rice. We cut jalapeno peppers up all over it and poured a lot of vinegar over that. Anyway, it was progress. The Lord leads us, step by step. He doesn't lead us faster than we can move. He doesn't want to lose us. So He leads on softly, step by step, and He was leading. And so now, along with my useful labor, working with my hands in a natural environment, the Lord was getting us on a diet that was more conducive to thinking. We've got some butternut squash growing down in the pepper patch, and there's a pepper, and it sure is going to be good when we sit down to have that for lunch. And here's some more. They haven't turned red yet. They're ripening up for the harvest. And these are sweet peppers, and they're really, in fact, words can't describe them. They're just some of the best things that come out of our garden. When you have a diet high in saturated fat and cholesterol, you get some plaque buildup. And that kind of restricts blood flow. You don't get as much oxygen to your brain. It does something it affects how you think. So we got on a better diet. Now, it's true I was still drinking. And it's true I was growing pot in the garden, but I had some interest in even trying to be healthy in those areas. I decided to start growing organic pot. We didn't smoke a lot of pot, but smoked some, and I grew organic pot. And then I started to understand, I read something, that German beer was healthier, fewer additives and preservatives and things, so we started drinking German beer. And what I did is, I would gauge how far I would run by how many beers I drink the night before, trying to be healthy. You can rationalize and justify anything if you want to, can't you? So if I ran, if I drank 8 beers, I'd run 4 miles the next morning. If I drank 6, maybe I'd run 3.5. If I drank more than that, I'd run more than that, maybe ride my bicycle and go swimming too. So I had this bank account, and the alcohol was like my withdrawal. My exercise was to put it back. And I tried to keep things balanced. I know it sounds a little insane now, but back then it sounded perfectly logical. And so that was the plan. And then another step after that was I thought, this beer I'm drinking, I'd like to even be more healthy. So I started making it myself. I got a book on how to make, beer at home, homebrew, beer and wine at home, because I knew that it had no bisulfates, no preservatives. I was starting to study healthy booze, and after a while I was making my own alcohol, making my beer and my wine and things, and we were a little healthier in that aspect. Now, I was still destroying my liver, cirrhosis of the liver. Making it at home doesn't change the fact that it still scars the liver tissue, but still, overall, we were no longer the steak burgers and the steak fries. I was no longer watching the ball games on Sunday afternoon. I was now working in the garden. God had gotten us out of the city into a natural environment. The bull thistle is beautiful, but so is the okra pod. It just really, when I look at that, I just think about God as the great master artist. It's one of my favorite foods, okra and tomato. You can't beat that. And He started, prodding me, inspiring me to think about this alcohol habit and the pot, that maybe it wasn't the healthiest. Of course, my response to that was, well, let me do something to make it healthy. But nevertheless, the Lord was leading. and started to get more and more of an interest in health. Darlene started growing a lot of the herbs in the garden. We got a real interest in trying to use natural things, garlic, and just many, many things. And as I look back, I see God was drawing us and helping us and changing us. It was a long process, but I'm very thankful that divine patience bears long. So God bless you today, my friends, and may He help you to have a lifestyle that gives you informed decision-making power, that helps you to discern the good from the bad, the right from the wrong, the true from the false, and to make choices today. May help all of us to make choices today that will bring about mental, physical, spiritual, social, emotional stability in our lives. God bless you, my friends. You have a nice day.